Hello everyone. We'll be starting the meet in some time. Give us just a few more minutes and we'll start by 7:20 most likely. And if your friends haven't joined the session, please ask them to join in. We will be starting by 7:20. Thank you. Hello everyone. Um, I think a lot of students have joined and we'll start the session. I'll introduce myself. Hello, everyone. I am Soumya Tripathi, and I'm currently GDSE student lead for Vesit chapter. And today we are here to understand how exactly Gemini works. So this entire workshop, that is Gemini and Flutter workshop, it's being conducted under GDSE Vesit, and we are doing this under GDSE's guidelines, and this is precisely for solutions challenge. And if you don't know about solutions challenge, I'll cover it up in just a brief. I'll give it to you. Solutions Challenge is a global level hackathon that is being conducted by Google. You have to choose a subject topic for a project, and you can submit that project. For Solutions Challenge, you have to individually register, and then you can register for your team. The team registration for submission of project will be shared soon with you all. And I hope a lot of students from here register for Solutions Challenge if you haven't yet. Let's get into Gemini workshop. Today's workshop is being conducted by Piyush Chugeja. He's the current technical lead of GDSC West. And Piyush, you can take over from here, I believe. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Soumya. Hello, everybody. Myself, Piyush Chugeja, and I hope I am audible and visible to all. So, without wasting any time, let's begin with our workshop. Can anybody please confirm if I'm audible and my screen is visible as well?
Yes, yes.
All right, then. Let's, all right. Good evening, everybody. As Soumya has said, this workshop has been brought to you by GDSC on under the Solution Challenge, and this is an integral part of your Flutter hands-on course. So, how many of you already know about generative AI? Right? Let's consider. So, what are the contents of today's presentation? So, I'll give you a brief overview of how the course is going to be. We will, just a second, I'm very sorry. Just a second. All right. So, with this, let's begin. So, over the course of today's session, we'll go through what generative AI is. We'll understand what is Gemini. We'll understand what is the basic difference between the building blocks of Gemini and ChatGPT. And we'll also move on to building a hands on project. So, what is Gen AI all about actually? Right? So, generative AI or generative artificial intelligence per se refers to the use of AI to create new content. For example, when I was a kid, I used to think I will build a television where the television will display what I am thinking about. Right now, as a kid, it always felt like a dream, but now when I look at the world, I think it is highly possible due to generative AI and also many advances in neurotic sciences. Generative AI uses its vast language model, uses its vast existing database to create something from what it already knows to create something new. For example, if you are asking ChatGPT or Bard to give you a poem or to give you a blog or to write a song for you, it will do that in mere seconds because it knows what you want and it links it with the context it already has. So, I don't know how many of you have already used generative AI, right? Look at this. We can create text, we can create images, we can create messages, we can create audios, videos, etc. So, if you haven't tried generative AI, uh, soon you will receive a link. GDSC members will send you a link for the Google's chatbot Bard, with which you can explore what generative AI is. Bard is capable of responding in texts, right? Bard can write codes for you. Bard can write blogs for you. Bard can write, basically anything text based. And let's tap into generative AI more. Have you ever tried to create an image using generative AI? You can post your responses in the chat box. Now, while exploring more about Gemini and Microsoft's AI, ChatGPT, etc., I came across something very much interesting, which is called as Microsoft Designer. Microsoft Designer lets you create images just using text prompts. So, While testing Microsoft Designer, I wrote a very small poem. It's just a three-line poem. A starry night sky, moon shining bright, waves hitting the beach, dolphins in sight. Such a splendid view, draw it like Van Gogh might. Now, based on what it has learned, Microsoft Designer gave me a very beautiful picture, and it looks exactly the way Van Gogh might have drawn this scenario. So, let's look at what the picture displays. As you can see, if you have ever seen the work of Van Gogh, the painting called as Starry Nights has a moon like this, stars like this. Now I know it may not be perfect, but based on the description we provided it, it has given us such a beautiful and splendid image. This is the power of generative AI. Now, I know all of you might be wondering, how does it actually do this? Right? What do we use to train such big models? How are they doing this? Right? So let's understand that with a little technical definitions. So Gen AI can learn patterns. It can learn representations from vast amounts of data. Now, where do the models get this data from? When companies are building generative AI models, when the companies are building large language models, they use data from they use tons of data from existing websites, social media accounts, and pictures, videos, descriptions, blogs, Wikipedia pages, etc., etc. All of these parameters are passed into a machine learning model, which are then combined with natural language processing as well, so that the large language model, which is also called as generative AI, which is a part of a generative AI, can understand the prompts you give it. Now, Gen AI models can remember previous interactions as well, which results in more relevant conversation experiences. For example, when you use ChatGPT and you are talking about a specific topic, right? Let's say you want to build a project. Let's say you're building a Python project, which is a very basic weather prediction project in machine learning. Or let's tone it down to a calculator based project. So if you think about a calculator in Python, you can go up to ChatGPT or Gemini or Bard, right? Or Microsoft Chat as well for that matter. You can ask it, how do I create this project in Python? It will give you a response where it may give you elaborate steps on how to create this project. It can give you the entire code for this project as well. And it can, if you program it in a way, it will also ask you questions or it will make you do the project. For example, one time when I was building a similar project, we were building a facial recognition attendance system. What we did then was, I took it as a challenge and I asked ChatGPT that challenge me into building this project. Right? I asked it to not give me the code directly, but ask me questions which will pique my curiosity, and then I'll do my research and write the code by myself. So I just wrote a simple text-based prompt to ChatGPT, and it was able to do that, and it was able to do that throughout the conversation. So this is the power of generative AI. And you might be thinking, can I build a model like this? So of course, you can build a model like this, but you will need extensive resources. As of now, according to this article I read, to run ChatGPT on your platform, on your computer, on your machine, you need a high-end CPU with at least 16 cores and a 64 gigabytes of RAM. Now, a processor with 16 cores is way too expensive, and general processors are quad core or octa core, right? And you will also need a high-end GPU with 16 gigabytes of virtual RAM. Now, a 16 GB graphic card can cost you anywhere about 3 lakh rupees. That is not a joke. So, these hardwares are used to train generative AI models, and these hardwares are provided at OpenAI, at Gemini, at Google DeepMind, and this is where your model runs, right? Let's explore ahead. What are the popular applications where Gen AI is being used currently? As we discussed earlier, text. You want to write assignments, Gen AI can do it for you. You want to write blogs, Gen AI can do it for you. You want to write emails, Gen AI can do it for you. You want to write stories, even while writing movies. What current directors and writers can do, they can just go up to, Bard or Gemini. They can type in their basic plot line, the basic storyline, and ask it to write captivating dialogues. Based on all it has learned, the large language model can generate those dialogues. Currently, like we saw earlier, Microsoft designer was able to design that beautiful image. So you know that Gen AI can also generate images. I don't know how many of you know, but there are multiple applications which can now understand sounds and then replicate that sound. For example, I was recently watching a video of Tanmay Bhatt, and what he did was he converted an Arjit Singh song to a version where Udit Narayan was singing that song. It sounded so natural. It sounded like it was actually being recorded in a studio. So when you give a good amount of data to a generative AI model or to a large language model, you can be sure that it will be able to replicate something like that. For example, there are also cases where people have given their journal entries to such large language models. They have reprogrammed them to behave like themselves, right? If you have a ton of journal entries, so what the AI can do is it remembers patterns, right? So what it will do is it will understand each and every thing you have written. It will understand the way you talk, it will understand the way you interact with people, and then it can literally start doing that. It may sound scary, but this is also very innovative, and it's huge in the field of artificial intelligence. Moving towards the last application, not the last, but the most popular application is synthetic data. Now, while training such large language models, we come across various scarcity of data. Right? For example, suppose you are building a chatbot. Now, to build a chatbot from these large language models, you have to give it a certain kind of structure. कैसे होना है कि आपको उसको एक क्वेश्चन देना होता है और वो क्वेश्चन का आंसर देना होता है. So what happens is when you give tons of data like this in question answer pairs, the large language model will learn what you want your chatbot to do. And yes, synthetic data can also be created using some other large language models. So this was an overview of popular Gen AI applications. Let's move on to today's topic, which is the Gemini AI. Now, Gemini is Google DeepMind's most capable AI model, and it is a multimodal model. Now, what do you mean by multimodal? When we use ChatGPT or Bard, we understand that it can process our text at once. Right? ChatGPT is a unimodal model. It works only on text-based data. But Gemini is a multimodal model. Multimodal AI is a new AI paradigm in which various data types, such as images, text, speech, numerical data, your codes, programs, videos, images, etc. everything are combined with multiple intelligence processing algorithms. अभी सुनने में तो ऊपर से चलेगा, right? But imagine you are in a room with different types of processors. ठीक है, one machine can process images for you, one machine can process videos for you, one machine can process audio for you, etc., etc. Now you are in this room where all of these machines are kept separately. You come out of the room, you describe the room to somebody, you'll say that this room is capable of describing images, working with images, generating images, understanding code, explaining code, everything all at once. That is what you mean by multimodal. Multimodal AI outperforms single modal AI in many real world problems. अभी आप खुद ही सोच लो, आपको कुछ जानना है तो आप गूगल लेंस पे जब जाते हो, when you go to Google Lens, you give it some image, right? The Google Lens application can do multiple tasks at once. It can translate the text for you, it can let you copy paste the text from the image, it can also describe what you're seeing in the image. वो क्या करता है, अगर आपको कुछ सर्च करना हो, you can go to Google Lens, you can just show the image and it will search the web for that particular thing you are showing. आजकल Amazon, Meesho, Flipkart सब जगह you can search for things just using their images. आपको कोई ड्रेस चाहिए, आप गूगल फोटोज को दिखा, गूगल लेंस को दिखा दो, it will give you the link to buy that exact dress. This is the concept of multimodality curve, where it comes in that a single agent can work in all of these areas. Now, ठीक है, let's understand the basic terminology difference and etymology differences between Gemini and ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a chatbot. Gemini is an AI model. When you're comparing ChatGPT and Gemini, it's like comparing coffee beans with coffee. Gemini is something which is the underlying technology of ChatGPT. Gemini जो है वो नीचे की टेक्नोलॉजी है. सपोज आपने कॉफी बीन्स बनाए हैं, तो कॉफी बीन्स को रोस्ट करके ग्राइंड करके यू गेट कॉफी विद यूजिंग विच यू कैन मेक कोल्ड कॉफी, राइट? So Gemini is the coffee bean, and ChatGPT is an interface between the user and the GPT 3.5 model, which is publicly available for us to use freely. जो आप ChatGPT यूज करने जाते हो, वो Gemini जैसे एक मॉडल which is known as GPT 3.5 पे रन होता है. If we want to compare them correctly, we need to compare Gemini with GPT-4. GPT-4 is the latest OpenAI model जो थोड़े टाइम पहले तक beat every other single model which was present. But Gemini के आने के बाद ये हो गया कि Gemini was able to overcome a lot of benchmarks that GPT-4 had set. If you want to understand the technical details about GPT and Gemini's comparison with all other large language models at the moment, the GDSC team will shortly send you a link with technical comparison details. So, what I mean to say is, Gemini has passed this test called as MMLU. अभी MMLU क्या है? MMLU एक massive multitask language understanding test है. Abhi, a lot of you might have given JEE, right, to get into engineering. जेई जैसे एग्जाम है, नीट जैसे एग्जाम है, वैसे ही एआई मॉडल्स को इवैल्यूएट करने के लिए एमएमएलयू एग्जाम है. ठीक है, तो एमएमएलयू एग्जाम क्या करता है? इट इज अ बेंचमार्क व्हिच कवर्स सब्जेक्ट्स, approximately 57 or more subjects across these fields such as the humanities, social sciences, and STEM fields. STEM here stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. अभी एक इतना बड़ा टेस्ट है जो ये एआई मॉडल्स को दिया जाता है. नाउ दीज एआई मॉडल्स हैव टू pass this test in order to be considered intelligent. GPT-4 passed this test at approximately 82% score, 88% score, but Gemini was able to pass this test at 90% score, making it the best and most capable AI model to currently exist. Now, the things we're talking here is where GPT-4 is a text-based model. Gemini, again, it can deal with text, images, audio, and video. Gemini is also trained on not just textual data, but also books, codes, a variety of languages, and very graphical objects. Now, the reason why GPT-4 and ChatGPT are a lot more trending is because GPT is better at common reasoning for everyday tasks. This is one category where Gemini couldn't beat GPT-4 because GPT-4 has been in the market since 2022 now, right? It has been over 2 years since we have been using GPT, and it has been learning from its users. GPT has reached the level of understanding where people are very much comfortable using GPT over Gemini, क्योंकि भाई इतने टाइम से अगर आप किसी से बात कर रहे हो, you become familiar with the chat interface, you become familiar with how the model is trained to provide you with a response. तो समझ गए हैं लोग कि जीपीटी के डेटाबेस में से जीपीटी जहां से बना के दे रहा है आंसर, उसमें से हमको जो आंसर चाहिए वो निकालना कैसे, right? So basically, Gemini shows promise with impressive benchmark scores. Multimodal tasks में Gemini बहुत आगे बढ़ रहा है, but to reach GPT's level of competence, it has to stay in the market mode. But who knows? GPT can outperform Gemini again. So enough of theory. Let's get to getting the Gemini API key. Now, the team will send you a link with which you can get the Gemini API key as to provide you with basic knowledge of क्या होगा. आपको एक लिंक पे जाना है, makersweet.google, सॉरी, makersweet API की आपको वहां से मिल जाएगी. I'll show you the demo here as well. Just a second, I'll show you guys the demo of how to get the GPT API key using the link provided in the chat box. एंड ऑल्सो एवरीबडी प्लीज नोट, आपके वीएस के आईडी से आपको ये की एक्सेस नहीं मिलेगा, बिकॉज वीएस हैज सर्टेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पॉलिसीज व्हिच डू नॉट लेट यू गेट access to such APIs by Google. So I would like to request you all to gain access to this API from your personal ID. So here I have pasted the link that is also being provided to you in the chat box, right? As soon as I hit enter, it will show me certain terms and conditions which I'll have to accept. Yeah, all of you accept these terms and conditions. Click on continue and you should reach this exact page. अभी ये पेज पे आके करना ये है, all you have to do is click on create API key. It will create the API key for you. अभी ये API key को कॉपी करके कहीं अच्छी जगह सेव कर लो. ऑलराइट, एपीआई की मिल गया, इसको कॉपी कर लो, सेव कर लो. डू नॉट शेयर दिस विद एनीबडी एल्स, because if this API key is leaked in public, it will be cancelled for you, right? If you reload this, if I reload this page right here, I just generated a key. I go to my library and it has probably not generated it properly. I'll just do it again. All right. Now the API key has been generated successfully, and you are allowed to generate only one API key as of now, because free में Google वाले भी कितना ही दे सकते हैं. Uh, I would like you to save your API key in such a manner that you can use it whenever you want. All right. I hope everybody got their API keys. Does anybody else have a doubt until now? किसी को कुछ भी doubt है तो please write in the chat box. And if you have gotten your API key, give me a reaction. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'll show you guys. Okay, somebody is requesting to show me this again. Okay, so I'll just delete this API key for now. Right? And I'll close this tab as well. What we want you to do is take the link inside the chat box. Right? Take the link inside the chat box, paste it here, makersweet.google.com/app/API key. Paste this link and make sure you use your personal IDs. I'm repeating this for everyone. Make sure you use your personal IDs, not your VS IDs, to gain access to Gemini API. Our organization policies block us from getting the access to Gemini. Right? So make sure you do this from your personal accounts. When you go to this link using your personal Google account, you may have to accept a few terms and conditions. All right. Once you accept those terms and conditions, you'll see this button, create API key in new project. Can everybody see this page, or have you already obtained your key? Does anybody has a problem until this step? Please use the chat box. Atharva Chavrekar. If you're listening to me, use your personal Gmail address. Use your personal email ID. Do not use your college email ID, because you won't be given access on your college email ID. If you're using your personal email ID, there's no way that you are connected to an organization. Kindly check it once again or use incognito mode. Everybody who's facing this particular error, I'll just type the error in the chat box. Everybody who's facing this particular error, make sure you are using your personal Gmail IDs, and if you are still getting an error, go to incognito mode, paste this link, and sign in with your personal Google address. Has everybody gained access to the API? All right, that is amazing. Let's move on to the next topics of this session. Once you have your API key, right? Once you have your API key, make sure you save it in such a place where you can see it, where you can use it, where you can copy it again and again, or you'll have to otherwise go to the Google Maker Suite page again, right? All right. Once you have your API key, I'll show you a code snippet. This code snippet will help you to, this is a Python type code snippet. Now there is the GDSC team will also send you a link where you can see the Python tutorial for this particular API. Right, you can use that Python tutorial to understand how to use this, and we'll also explore it in the session further. This is how you can initialize your API with Python. All we need is one library called as Google Generative AI, and this is the code we need to follow. So we are importing Google Generative AI as an alias called as Gen AI. Now we need to call this function called as configure, and we pass our API key in this. All right. After this particular step is done, after configuring your Gen AI is done, we get access to Gemini Pro. Now, Gemini comes in three sizes: Nano, Pro, and Ultra. Gemini Nano will be used for mobile applications, for small applications which won't be having a heavy usage. Alright, आपको कोई heavy processor नहीं लगेगा Gemini Nano को चलाने के लिए, so that it can be embedded into certain systems such as mobile applications, smart watches, your earbuds as well, etc. Gemini Pro and Gemini Ultra are the further enhanced versions, where Gemini Pro is also being integrated into Bard right now. जो Bard chatbot Google का है, उसके अंदर भी Gemini Pro इंटीग्रेट करा जा रहा है, एंड Gemini Ultra अभी तक पब्लिकली अवेलेबल नहीं है. Gemini Ultra is the best Gemini model which can outperform any other task that GPT can, and Gemini Ultra will be made available to the public shortly, but it may not be free. So जब तक Gemini Pro free है, हम उसे exhaust करके प्रोजेक्ट बना लेते हैं. स्टार्टिंग विद द प्रोजेक्ट वी विल नीड टू लाइब्रेरीज. नो नीड टू पैनिक, आपको ये इंस्टॉल कैसे करनी है वो भी बताया जाएगा. द पाइथन वर्जन ऑल ऑफ अस नीड इज पाइथन 3.1. Okay, there are a few questions I'd like to answer. Ashish Golsangi says, can you show me what to do after creating API key? Ashish, as of now, you have to do nothing. Once you have the API key, just save it somewhere or copy it so that you can use it again, so that you don't have to go to the website to copy it again. All right. Atharva asks, what's the difference between Gemini and Bard? So, Atharva, I'd like to answer your question in this manner, like we did earlier. While comparing, look at this. Gemini is like coffee beans for your coffee. Your Bard is the coffee. Gemini is the underlying technology on which Bard is working on. ठीक है, जेमिनाई क्या करता है? अगर आपने बार्ड को कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा है, बार्ड वो क्वेश्चन का आंसर कहाँ से बना रहा है? बार्ड वो क्वेश्चन को जेमिनाई के पास भेजता है, जेमिनाई उसको आंसर भेजता है. बार्ड इज जस्ट एन इंटरफेस. For example, you're using your mouse and your keyboard to interact with Windows, right? And your Windows can alter your monitor, है ना? आप monitor के ऊपर जो देख रहे हो, वो आपका Windows काम करता है. So your Windows is the underlying system, and your mouse and your keyboard are being used to alter that system. You're using that input devices to control the system. So that is the basic difference between Gemini and Bard. Gemini is the user interface. All right, moving ahead. Yeah, I wanted to ask, do all of you have Python installed on your machine? Yes, Atharva. ChatGPT and Bard are similar in that sense, just that their underlying technologies are different. ChatGPT uses GPT 3.5 model, which was developed by OpenAI, and Bard uses the Gemini Pro model, which is built by Google. Right. So, is there anybody who doesn't have Python installed on their machines? Kindly note, we need Python 3.10, 3.10 or more. Will Python 3.9 work? Yes, Ishwari, it should work. But we recommended Python 3.10 so that there is no other issue. But the Python 3.9 is also supported. So you shouldn't have an issue. But if you have an issue, we'll provide you with a link to install Python 3.10 as well. Alright. Can I use Jupyter Lab instead of Python 3? So, Ashish, the thing is, we will also be incorporating Streamlit inside our project. So, I have actually not tried to incorporate Streamlit in Jupyter Lab. I hope it runs because Jupyter Lab also runs on a local host and Streamlit will also run on a local host. You will have to run this project on your machine. You can't run this on the cloud. Okay. So that is why we need you to install Python 3.10. Okay, so I am assuming everybody has Python 3.10 or above, or Python 3.9 or above for that matter, installed on your machines. So these are the two libraries we'll be using, Google Generative AI and Streamlit. Now, you might be wondering, अभी Streamlit नया क्या है? Streamlit basically क्या करेगा? जो आप अभी हम प्रोजेक्ट बनाएंगे, वो प्रोजेक्ट हमें सिर्फ ऐसे टेक्स्ट, हम अभी यूजर को तो कैसे दिखाएंगे ना प्रोजेक्ट, हम किसी और को कैसे भेजेंगे? आप अभी कमांड लाइन में क्वेश्चन टाइप करोगे, उसका आंसर आपको जेमिनी लाके देगा. ये तो आपने एपीआई खुद के लिए टेस्ट कर लिया, यूजर को कैसे भेजेंगे? तो स्ट्रीमलेट इज अ फ्री ओपन सोर्स फ्रेमवर्क जो आपको वेब एप्स बनाने में हेल्प करता है यूजिंग पाइथन. You won't believe, creating a website like this in HTML, CSS, JavaScript would have costed you around 100 to 300 lines of code, with HTML being the skeleton structure, CSS being the styling, and JavaScript making the calls to the Gemini API. But अभी जो हम project बनाएंगे using Python and Streamlit, they are so easily, Python is easily incorporated with Gemini, right? तो Gemini का तो syntax का आपने देख ही लिया, उसको configure कैसे करना है. Configuring Gemini is easy as just you need 3 lines of code. And Streamlit में website बनाने के लिए आपको ज़्यादा lines of code नहीं चाहिए. Building the entire website will be done within 60 lines of code. So that is why Streamlit is also widely used nowadays. So without wasting any more time, we'll begin with the hands-on workshop. Before we start with the hands-on workshop, if there is anybody who has not installed Python, अभी कर लो, आपके पास links आ गए हैं chat box में to install Python. Alright. Now I will be using VS Code. There's no problem if you're using any other text code editor. All you need is command prompt open, and along with your command prompt, yeah, one second, is ideally fine. Actually, you will have to, ideal should also be fine. You just have to store your script somewhere in a file. Idle will also work. Okay, I'll just switch screens. We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll begin with the hands-on project. So, all right, we're back, everybody. We'll begin with a new project. So, I would request you all to create a new folder inside your files and name it as Gemini project. Right now, okay, we have a question in the chat box. Right, Ashish asks, "Will Gen AI replace professions like designers, programmers, writers, etc.?" Now, Ashish, this is a very good question. Actually, the thing is, as humans, we tend to think कि हम खतरे में हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है. Genuinely speaking, Gen AI का जो concept था वो आया था so that we can excel at our daily tasks and we don't waste time in our daily tasks. कैसे होता है कि वी टेंड टू स्टिक टू दिस ट्रिवियल टास्क डेली. अभी ईमेल लिखना है अगर आपको, यू नो हाउ टू राइट ईमेल, यू नो हाउ टू राइट लेटर्स, as long as they don't need an emotional or humanly touch, you can just ask the generative AI कि यार I can't attend a lecture tomorrow, I can't attend my session tomorrow, मेरे बॉस को ईमेल लिख दो, मेरे टीचर को ईमेल लिख दो कि आई वोंट बी देयर. ठीक है, तो ये किया जा सकता है. फॉर प्रोफेशंस लाइक डिजाइनर्स, द थिंग इज डिजाइनर्स को भी, अगर आपने जो अभी हमने माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डिजाइनर का एग्जांपल देखा था, कैसे था, यू हैव टू बी सो इलेबोरेट विथ योर प्रॉम्प्ट्स इन. ऐसे है कि जो डिटेल्स होती है डिजाइन की, अभी ऐसा नहीं है कि एक कोई बहुत सारे वेबसाइट्स आए हैं जो प्रॉम्प्ट से यूआई डिजाइन भी बना रहे, बट jobs of UI designers are not decreasing because the AI cannot understand everything humans can. Humans have a creative side. You can't give that creative side to a computer program unless and until you're reaching that level of artificial intelligence where you are basically threatening humanity. You can't replace professions like designer, programmers, anything of that sort. अभी जनरेटिव एआई की कैपेबिलिटीज इंक्रीज तो होती जाएगी, बट कहीं ना कहीं humans have always excelled. That is a good prompt, Ishwari, that Gemini can create creative poems too. But let me tell you one story. कैसे होता है कि suppose you are trained, you have read around thousands of books. Okay, you have read thousands of books, you have knowledge of Gemini. Let's say you have knowledge of Gemini, आपके पास इतना capability है कि whatever question is being asked to you, you can answer. You can write essays, you can write poems, you can write rhymes. But at some point, you lack to you lack the sense of creating new things. What Gemini does is जो उसको हमने आज तक डेटा दिया हुआ है, जो उसको हमने सिखाया है, उसको उतना सब याद है. It cannot create something new. It can only twist words. Suppose you have, अभी हम एग्जाम देने जाते हैं, कभी कभी ऐसे होता है कोई सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं हम रट्टा मार के जाते हैं. अभी आंसर्स आप रट्टा मार के अगर जा रहे हैं, so you don't create a new answer at that point. What you'll do is you'll just recollect what you've read. You might reframe your sentences, but you cannot create a new definition for something. The level of AI we have reached right now, it cannot create new things. And by new things, I mean it cannot essentially create new stories like humans can. We can redefine. अभी कैसे हो रहा है कि मूवीज जो हम बना रहे हैं, every time there is a new movie comes up, everything they have different plots. Base plot same हो सकता है, but the dialogues are different, the way of the movie, the portrayal is different, the way the actors act, everything is different, and all of it depends on the directors, producers mindsets. And again the thing is कि नया स्टोरी बनाना और पुराने स्टोरी से इंस्पायर होके पीसेस को जोड़ जोड़ के कुछ बनाना, देयर इज अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस. The AI we are using right now cannot create such things. वो आपको सिर्फ बनी बनाई चीजों को जोड़ के दे सकता है. अगर आप उसको बोलो कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू वांट टू क्रिएट अ न्यू रेसिपी, वो आपको रेसिपी बना के देगा, बट आपको उसको इंग्रेडिएंट्स देने पड़ेंगे कि मुझे इन चीजों में से बनानी है. अगर आप उसको रैंडम रेसिपी सजेस्ट करने बोलोगे, वो बना के दे देगा, बट इट कैन नॉट क्रिएट एन इंग्रेडिएंट ऑफ इट्स ओन. जैसे ठीक है, एग्जाम्पल्स तो काफी दे दिया, बट लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड विद वन लास्ट एग्जाम्पल. एवरीथिंग दैट इज मेड ऑफ ऑन अर्थ इज मेड आउट ऑफ एलिमेंट्स. ठीक है, एलिमेंट्स हैव अ स्ट्रक्चर. अभी सब एटम से बना है, एंड पीरियोडिक टेबल के जितने एलिमेंट्स हैं, हम उन्हीं से हमने जो भी बनाया है बनाया है. Now we can only create stuff using these elements. We are incapable of creating new elements. वो artificially elements create करना भी हम दो elements को join करके fission fusion करके ही बना सकते हैं. So that is what Gen AI can do. It collects data you already have. So if we ask AI to create another AI better than itself, if you are asking a computer program to write another computer program, it will be bound by its own limitations. Even as humans, you cannot create a superhuman, can you, Arnav? As humans, we can only give the knowledge and we can only give our neurotic powers to the AI जहां तक हम उन्हें explore कर सकते हैं. So if we ask AI to create another AI better than itself, it cannot do it currently. ऐसा नहीं बोल रहे कि there is no possibility. There is a possibility of anything. Anything can happen in this world. But as of now, no. If you ask AI to create something better than itself, it cannot. It is bound by its own limitations. You're welcome, Ishwin. Deep learning is something where the machine understands what to do, how to do in certain situations. For example, you are learning mathematics. आपको टीचर आपके स्कूल में पढ़ा रही है कि 2 into 3 is 6. So you understood 2 into 3 is 6. You understood the basic logic behind 2 multiplied by 3. It's just that you are adding 2 3 times. It gives you 6. Right? ये आपने समझ लिया है. Now when you get home, ठीक है, you are going home and आपको कुछ टास्क मिला है. सपोज आपको बोला है कि घर में कि for each person at your house bring 2 pairs of socks. ठीक है. Now what will you do? You will count the number of people at your house. कि सपोज ठीक है 4 लोग हैं मेरे घर में. आई वॉन्ट टू ब्रिंग सॉक्स 2 pairs each. अभी स्कूल में आपने आज पढ़ा था 2 multiplied by 3 gives you 6. तो यूल यूज दैट लॉजिक हियर एज वेल कि मुझे 4 लोगों के लिए 2 पेयर सॉक्स लेने हैं. तो यार 4 into 2 हो गया 8. तो आई बाय 8 pairs of socks. दिस इज डीप लर्निंग. You understand something in one situation, then you can apply your knowledge in another situation. All right. Now let's begin with our small project of using Gemini. Here I am creating a trial file. Trial as in हम पहले फॉर आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू वुड हैव इंस्टॉल्ड इट, बट ठीक है. लेट्स इंस्टॉल द डिपेंडेंसीज फर्स्ट. All of you go to your command prompts. All of you go to command prompts and type this command pip install. We need two libraries for this project as we discussed earlier. We need the Streamlit library. Sorry, we need the Streamlit library and we need the Google Generative AI library. I'll also paste this command inside the chat box. I want all of you to paste this command inside your command prompts. Once done, once you have these libraries installed, give a thumbs up on the meet or raise your hands on the meet, or you can also type in the chat box that you're done. Okay. If I do even if I install, it won't make a difference because I already have it. But your screens would look like this. Yeah, Atharva, what is your error? Please type, paste it in the chat box. Whatever errors you're getting, paste them in the chat box. Okay, Atharva, I would like you to confirm whether you have Python installed on your machine. Yeah, everybody who's getting this PIP not recognized as commandlet, I would like you to check whether Python has been installed on your machine and it is also present in your environment variables. Type in this in your command prompt and tell me what comes up. All right. Yeah, Venkat has a solution for you as well. Try this. Py minus m pip install. This will also work for you. I'll paste this chat in this chat box as well. Py minus m pip install Streamlit and Google Generative AI. Yeah, as you can see here, a certain I already have these packages installed, so it doesn't install for me. But there was a certain package which was supposed to be installed for me as well. तो ये ऐसे आएगा, collecting a certain package name, downloading, वो download होगा, and then install हो जाएगा. Lastly, you should get this prompt successfully installed so and so packages. All right, Vinayak, if you're getting this error invalid requirement, I would suggest you install libraries individually. First run this command, then run this command. Okay. Ashish, Python was not found, which basically means that you have not installed Python or you are facing this particular issue where your app execution alias is changed. Now you can do this by going to settings, go to manage app execution aliases, and there was a setting called as disable Python. Please do that and it should run, otherwise reinstall Python. Okay, so there may be this problem. Okay, I would like Sakshi, you as well. Run these commands individually. pip install Streamlit, pip install Google Generative AI. You have installed Python, but it is not running. Okay, let's paste this error online and let's see what happens. Okay. Um, yeah, Ashish, look at this. Look at my screen over Stack Overflow. Go to settings or directly into start, type this manage app execution aliases. If you type manage app execution aliases, scroll down and turn this off. Turn python.exe as off and try the command again. Yeah, this is just a warning, so this shouldn't be a problem. If your further scripts do not work, we'll look into it again, Atharva. Yeah, Prathamesh Joshi, you can update your PIP. It won't make a difference. Arnav, if you're getting this error, invalid requirement streamlet, I'd suggest you install these libraries individually, run these commands individually. Run these commands individually and it should work. Yeah, Venkat, since it is a warning, it shouldn't create an issue. But if this does create issues while we are building the project further, we'll look into it. Great, Arnav. Yeah, everybody, please ignore these warnings for now. If you're getting any sort of warnings, please ignore them for now. If they don't, if your project does not run further, we'll look into them. Don't worry about it. Okay. Atharva, what is your question? I did not understand. After successful statement, which successful statement did you get? Did you install both the libraries successfully? Ashish, try the other command which I pasted earlier. Pi minus m pip install. Rajveer and Ashish, kindly try this command that I pasted right now in the chat box. Once done, please let me know. Yeah, Sakshi, as you can see on my screen, I have also gotten this error, but it does not make a difference. Your project will still run. Do not worry about it. Yeah, Rajveer, this is just asking you to update your Python, this PIP installer. If you wish to, you can definitely do that. No, for now, we just have to install these two libraries, Google Generative AI and Streamlit. So I am assuming everybody has these libraries installed now. GDSC team members, please make sure if there is anything else that comes up in the chat box, kindly answer this. We'll move ahead with the next thing. Right? Now, in this trial file, what we'll do is हम देखेंगे जेमिना एपीआई को रिक्वेस्ट कैसे जाती है और उधर से रिस्पॉन्स क्या फॉर्म में आता है. ठीक है, विल जस्ट लुक एट द बेसिक कोड ऑफ हाउ टू सेंड द रिस्पॉन्स एंड गेट द रिस्पॉन्स, of how to send the request, sorry, and get the response. Now, in order to send a request to Gemini, import करेंगे जैसे हमने पहले देखा था. Import Google dot generative AI. This is our model. जैसे यहाँ आ गया है Google dot generative AI, right? Google dot generative AI, and we'll give it an alias. For those of you who are new to Python, an alias is such that कि ये पूरा बार बार आपको टाइप ना करना पड़े. Generative AI. We'll just type Gen AI. Okay. So after we have done this, sorry, after we're done with this, we will configure our Gen AI. I hope my code is visible and readable as well. We will configure Gen AI using the pre-built function known as configure. Okay, there we have it. And we need to pass our API key inside it. We'll pass our API key like this as a string. Now it is not advised to pass your API key openly like this, right? It is definitely not advised to pass your open key like this. So what we'll do right now is I'll go here, I'll regenerate my API key because that one is deleted. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think this account has had a problem. No worries. We'll just use the API key I previously had. Um, just a second, you guys can ignore this part. Okay, here's my old API key. Now what we want to do is, I want you all to go to environment variables. Search for environment variables. Edit environment variables for your account. This should be available to you on Windows 11, 10, 7, whatever you are on. Once you go in here, create something like this, Google API key. Click on new, type in Google API key. Alright. Type in Google API key and type in this variable value. Alright. Once you do that, it should be done. Do that quickly so that you don't have to type in your API key every time you need it inside your applications. We can get it using this command. Operating system dot get environment variable, the name you typed right now. No problem, Ojas. I'll just send you the link again. right? So here you go. Just go to this link and do not use your VS ID for the same. If you use your VS ID, it will disallow you to, the organization policies aren't that you can get an API key from here. Use your personal ID and get an API key from this website. Okay, what we need to do is go to your environment variable settings. All right, once you are in there, environment variables, click on new environment variable, type in a name that you can remember. Just type it as API, that is also fine, and then paste your API key inside variable value. For those of you who are not understanding this step, this is also fine, but you'll have to make sure that wherever I type os.getEnv, you type your API key. All right, variable name, whatever you want, and your variable value must be your API. Once we're done with that, we come here, we type genai.configure, we pass in our API key. I'll get it from the environment variables, right? I have it like this. Now, there was another step after this, which was we need to choose the model which we want, right? So, in order to choose the model, we'll store the model in a variable. Okay, we'll store the model in a variable like this. We'll name it model itself. Okay, we'll say Gen AI dot generative model. What are we using? We are using a generative AI model. So we'll use this class of Gen AI called as generative model, and we will ask for Gemini Pro. Right? We know the basic difference between three Gemini models: Nano, Pro, and Ultra. Pro is publicly available for us. We use Gemini Pro. Yeah, Ojas, it's fine if you don't do the ENV thing. Just make sure that you type it here. Your API key must be passed as a string here. I'll show you that part of the code as well. You guys can do it like this or the OS part. It completely depends on you. But ensure that if you are sending this code somewhere or if you're uploading this code on GitHub, do not expose your API key as it may get leaked and it will get cancelled as well. Right? Is that okay, Ojas? Yeah, okay, great. All right. So once we have this, we have our Gemini Pro model loaded into our machine. Now, when I say loaded into our machine, I mean कि कैसा होगा कि ये मॉडल के अंदर Gemini का एक इंस्टेंस तो आ जाएगा, but it will not run on your machine. Gemini is still running at Google servers. What it will do is आपका जो भी क्वेश्चन होगा and it will get the response from Google servers. So what we'll do is जो भी आपका question है, whatever you want to ask, type it inside this prompt variable. Now what I'll type is explain me what Gen AI is, like I am a 5-year-old child. This is my prompt. Your prompt can be anything you want. Okay. Type in the question you want to ask Gemini inside this variable prompt. Now, asking Gemini this question is very simple. We will save the response, what Gemini tells us, inside the variable response and the API request. All of you please pay attention on how to send the request to the API. We use this model name, right? We use model dot generate content. Okay, this is the function that will help us get the response from API. Okay, model.generate content, and all we need to do is send in the prompt. We will just send the question to the model. This piece of code right here will send your question to Gemini and store the answer in response. Now, response is not just a simple answer from Gemini. This response object, it contains everything that goes in and comes out. It will contain the errors as well. It will contain your response. It will contain your API status, etc. etc. But for now, all we need is this part, that response.text. Response.text is the answer that Gemini will provide us with. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll just print this. This is a basic demonstration on how you can use Gemini or how you can pass a query to Gemini. Okay. Has everybody followed yet? Does anybody else have a question? अभी तक जो हुआ okay, seems fine. All right. Now what we need to do is we'll just run this code. Let's see how much time it takes. ये code run होना शुरू हो गया. We have one, two. I'm not gonna. Okay. Let's wait. See, approximately 15-16 seconds में उसने आंसर दे दिया है. Yeah, see, Prathamesh, the error is self-descriptive. What you have done is mistyped the spelling of generative. It must be generative. You missed an E there. Just type in the E and you are good to go. The code. See, it is better if you type in yourself, but it's fine. I'll send you the code as well. Arnav, are we sure that you successfully installed or your this statement was successfully executed earlier? May I know where you are executing this code, Arnav? Okay, Arnav, let me get back to you 1 second. Prathamesh, can you just just send us the last part of your error? This doesn't actually make sense. Sorry, this is just the initial part. Send us the last part where the error message is. Um, Arnav, it seems like you may have a problem with the installation. Can you run the command again? Pip install Google Generative AI. Run the command again and tell us what happens. Okay. So a lot of you are getting the same error where you are not. I want all of you to successfully check if you have installed Google Generative AI library, right? Because this may be the issue that वो install नहीं हुआ है इसीलिए उसको मिल नहीं रहा. Yeah, Venkat, this error that you have sent, it does not make sense. Kindly send only the last part of your error, which has the error message. Do not send the entire stack trace. Default credentials were not found. Are you sure that you have typed in your API key correctly? Just check that code, the part of that code. Yeah, any requirement without. Yeah. So, guys, make sure that if you're using environment variable thing and if it is not working, you also try it without environment variable thing where you type in your API key directly. All right. It may happen sometimes कि environment variable में कुछ डालने के बाद you will have to restart your computer for it to make the effect on your computer. All right. So, right, it didn't install. If I'm not wrong. Okay. Ojas, I would like to ask. I would ask you to install these two libraries. All right. If you don't install this particular library, your code will definitely not run. Okay. If you tried this, then what happened? Are you sure your errors were occurring while installation of this? Try the command again, and if doesn't work, then send us the error message. Okay. Send us the error message. Yeah, Arnav, if it is saying requirement is satisfied, but your module is still not being imported, try closing and reopening VS Code for once and kill the terminal you are in right now. Restart your terminal as well. If it still doesn't work, check your Python version. Yes, Atharva, you can run pip install on your computer's command prompt as well. Yeah, Rajveer, the env thing could be the problem because sometimes what happens is the environment variable is not saved instantly. It takes time and it sometimes it also takes a restart. Yeah, for those of you who are facing an issue, I would like to request you without env भी try करो. सीधा API की में string में अपना API की pass कर दो. It will also help. Yeah, great, Prathamesh. So अभी से आप लोग सब without environment variable ही काम करो because there may be a problem. वो save नहीं हुआ होगा. Great, Aditya. So okay, I think majority of you got your responses, right? How does it feel? Command prompt से आपने एक बड़े से question का answer निकाल लिया, right? Okay, or just try this command. Now all I want you to do is experiment with the prompts. जब तक बाकियों के एरर सॉल्व होते हैं, all of you start experimenting with the prompts. जिसको बेसिक पाइथन आता है वो आप ऐसे डाल दो कि you are entering a prompt and then generative AI can answer your question, या फिर ऐसे कर लो कि कुछ भी पूछ सकते हो, इधर ही पूछ लो ना. write a poem write a poem describing roses. ये डाल के देख लेते हैं ना. Let's see what it gives out. And if it is taking time to respond, it may be because of your network problems or network consistency की वजह से, because वो internet के through ही आपके पास आंसर देता है. ये देखो, within 10 seconds it wrote us a huge poem. Now reading this poem, of course, let's just read the last stanza. So let us cherish roses dear, their beauty, fragrance, and mystique so clear. For in their presence we find release, a moment's peace, a sweet embrace. This is such a beautiful stanza, and the entire poem is so beautiful. Keep experimenting with Gen AI until we resolve all these issues. Okay, Atharva, if you're getting this error, kindly try it without the comma. Try it without the comma. Sometimes it happens that PIP does not work with commas. Try it like this, straight away without comma. Okay, Arnav, the problem you are now facing is that you have run the wrong code file. You have run temp code runner file.python. This is not what you want to run. You want to run trial.py. Make sure you have no code selected. Yeah, this is not the correct file. This is absolutely not the correct file. Make sure your cursor is not selecting any sort of code inside and then try to run it. PIP is not recognized. Alright. This should work. If this doesn't work as well, you might have to check your Python installation Atharva. OJS, did it work for you? Alright, amazing. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Warnings are fine unless and until your actual project code doesn't run. Okay, warnings are fine. Let it be. Name error, name response is not defined. Okay, Shreyas, you might be having a problem with either the spelling or कुछ import हो गया होगा गलती से. Make sure your code looks exactly like this. I'll also paste it inside the chat box. Yeah, definitely you can do that. Python 3.10 is a runtime environment. It will help you run Python codes inside your machine. It doesn't act like an application. You can search for ideally. Ideally will also help you run these codes. Okay. And yeah, Shreyash, if this is the problem, try using your API key directly rather than doing os.getenv. try pasting your API key directly inside this API key thing as string. That should work for you. That works for everybody else. Yeah, Venkat, yeah, absolutely. You can make the response on terminal more presentable. What we are doing ahead is we'll build a website using Streamlit and it will look better. And you're free to explore, right? You can explore however you want it. Or just if you have properly installed Python, it doesn't matter where you're writing the code. You can write the code in the notepad and still run it from your command prompt. For everybody who are writing code in the notepad and don't know how to run, I'm running using this button. But what you can do is open command prompt in the place where you have your code written. Type in this command Python and the name of your file. The name of our file here is trial.py. If I hit enter, it will run the file again. Might as well change um, roses to yeah. Let's change the entire prompt. Um, Tell me about India. Yeah, let's see how that works. Now we have typed Python trial.py to run. We are not using the button. For those of you who are not using VS Code, you can just do this, hit enter, it will run your script just like it did earlier. To add the API key in the code, Sanjana, what you have to do is you have to copy your API key properly, add double quotes in here, and paste your API key inside these double quotes. Yeah, paste your API key inside the double quotes like this. I hope you followed this step because I will just replace this. You want to put the Python in my environment, how to do that? After I'm not able to find location of the build file of my Python. Now, अथर्व, this may be a problem where अभी अगर आपको याद नहीं है आपने Python install कहाँ किया था, just go to your command prompt, type in Python like this. If you get ideally, or if you're getting this Python 3.8, or if you're getting ideally whatever you're getting, click on open file location. When you click on open file location, it should show you the path you have Python installed in. All right, no, it will show you. Okay, don't worry about it. I'm sorry. Okay, I think now we might have a problem with your installation. Kindly check your C program files. You may have Python in there if you did not change your directory by yourself. Great, Sanjana. OJS ideally is installed with Python 3.1 itself. खुद उसके साथ ही हो जाता है. अगर नहीं हुआ है, do not worry. You can run your Python scripts from command prompt ऐसे भी. Just type your Python code in Notepad. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Sakshi, please paste what error you are getting. The error message, which might be at the end of your code. Will entertain errors up till 8:50. उसके बाद we also need to work on the project. ठीक है, उसमें भी टाइम लगेगा. तो we'll have to hurry up because सबको फिर नींद आने लग जाएगी. सब बोर हो जाएंगे. Yeah, Sakshi, you might have to do what Sanjana did right there. Replace your os.get environment inside the code with your actual API key. I will just type in a template of how to do that. ये इधर है, ठीक है. यहाँ API की जहाँ लिखा है, what you have to do is pass your API key. Alright, for those of you who are still getting this error, I'm pasting this inside the chat box. You can do this and it should work. Or just I hope you are writing the code in the notepad and not waiting for ideally because this might consume a lot of your time and you might lag later. Definitely. Let's say, okay, I'll just open the folder where I have. Okay, I'll open the folder. I have it right here. This is the project we are working on, right? So suppose you have this folder open right here, OJS. Now all you have to do is open command prompt here. There's a multiple ways you can open command prompt in this file. I prefer doing it just like this. Once you open your command prompt right here, what you have to do is type in Python and the name of your file. Name of the file currently is trial.py, right? So I'll just type Python trial.py and hit enter. And the code is now running. It will get the response from the model and paste it inside this terminal. While you're using Notepad, ensure that you save the file as .py. Do make sure यहाँ type की जगह txt file नहीं लिखा है, py file लिखा है. Alright. Great, Sakshi. Well done.
Piyush, is your net okay now? I think you just left. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, guys. I'm sorry I had to leave the meet. There was a problem. If in case I missed any sort of questions, kindly paste them in the chat box again, and we'll get back on track. Yeah. Does Gemini support other languages than English? Yes, Atharva, it does support other languages than English. Good question. Um, it doesn't support Marathi. मैंने ट्राई किया था, मराठी सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा था. हिंदी में अच्छे से बात कर लेता है. फ्रेंच, जापानीज, जर्मन, ये सब लैंग्वेजेस भी उसको आती है. Okay, all right, guys. We'll move ahead with our project. So, just to give you a brief overview, yeah, one second. For CMD, the steps were: oh, just you have to go to where you are, where your file is. You have to open your command prompt here. Let's just say I click open in terminal. Once I have it opened in the terminal, you have to type in the command Python followed by the file name. File name here is trial.py. I'll just type trial.py. Once I hit enter, the code will start running. Not much to do here. All right, did you follow? Great. So, guys, as to the project we're going to be building, as you were discussing, बात कर रहे थे कि अगर आपको कहीं लीव लेनी हो या कुछ किसी को बताना हो, कोई मैसेज भेजना हो बॉस को या कुछ भी करना हो, ईमेल लिखने के लिए खुद को ईमेल लिखने तो हम सबको आता है, बट देर आर टाइम्स वेर यू विल फील लाइक बस अभी मेरे को इतना बड़ा ईमेल टाइप नहीं करना, या बॉस को ये बात कैसे बोलूं समझ नहीं आ रही, कोई प्रोफेशनल रीजन चाहिए, ऐसा वैसा. डोंट वरीज, वी विल मेक एन ईमेल जनरेटर यूजिंग जेमिनी. एंड ये प्रोजेक्ट आप लोग डिप्लॉय भी कर सकते हो, ये डिप्लॉय करके दूसरों को भेज भी सकते हो. ठीक है, तो लेट्स गेट ऑन विद इट. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई विल गो बैक हियर. ओके, यहाँ पे आके can we deploy on GitHub? Yes, you can deploy on GitHub. Actually, I'll explain you the deployment process as well, and then deployment will be the your homework task for tonight. Okay? हम अभी ये trial.py से बाहर आके हम नया फाइल बनाएंगे. We will name it as app.py. You can name it whatever you want. Just remember the name you are giving. अब यहाँ हमें दो चीजें इंपोर्ट करनी है. पहले तो हमारा गूगल जनरेटिव एआई वाला जो मॉड्यूल था जिससे हमने एपीआई की को रिक्वेस्ट भेजी थी, सेम चीज. Will the API key work forever or it has a time limit? Venkat, as of now, it will work as long as Google lets you access the API for free. गूगल ने अगर ये एपीआई को पेड बना दिया तो फिर अगर आप पेमेंट करते हो तो यस इट विल वर्क फॉरएवर, अदरवाइज it won't. It doesn't have a time limit just yet. I've been using it for 2 months and there have been no issues. Okay. I'd like to request GDSC members that if students have any doubts, वो mic on करके मुझे बता दे, so that I don't have to switch back and forth again and again. Thank you. So we'll start with the project. We'll import Gen AI. We'll import Streamlit as well. Now Streamlit से हम UI बनाते हैं जैसे आपको बताया था. Import Streamlit as ST कर देते हैं so that हमको बार-बार Streamlit ना लिखना पड़े. Again, we'll just copy the codes from here. These two lines which are required to initialize our Gemini model, right? हम यहाँ से जाके copy paste कर देंगे. इधर आ गया, हमारे पास model आ गया. And for those of you who are using OS, do import OS. For those of you who are not using OS environment variable, direct API key डाला है, that is also well and good. Do not change your code. All right. Now, before making the UI, let's make the ठीक है, let's make the function जो हमें email लाके देगा. Gemini से generated email हमको वो लाके देगा. How to do that? To create function in Python, we type def and we'll name this function as get email. ठीक है, we're keeping things very simple. We'll ask it to get email. अभी what are the constituents of an email? सिंपल सी बात है, हमें बस क्या करना है, बेसिक चीजें जो हमें ईमेल में डालनी है वो ये फंक्शन को हम पैरामीटर दे देंगे, जैसे कि हु इज दिस ईमेल फ्रॉम, हु इज दिस ईमेल टू. एंड रिमेंबर दिस आर नॉट ईमेल एड्रेसेस, हम ईमेल भेजने नहीं वाले. दीज आर एट्रीब्यूट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल फ्रॉम मतलब इट्स फ्रॉम यू, इट्स फ्रॉम अ स्टूडेंट. ठीक है. टू मतलब लेट्स से इट्स टू योर टीचर, इट्स टू योर बॉस. फ्रॉम एन एम्प्लॉई टू अ बॉस, ऐसे सब चीजें हैं. these are not email addresses. Next thing we need inside an email is the subject line. subject line or the topic of the email, anything works. Then the tone of the email. You want it to be professional, you want it to be formal, you want it to be informal, essay. And lastly, the request of the person जो email लिख रहा है, या फिर हम लिख देते हैं about, as in what is this email about. ठीक है. These are the things we are considering. You can incorporate whatever you want inside it. जो भी आपको चाहिए, जो भी आपको एट्रीब्यूट यूजर से लेने हैं और इधर दिखाने हैं, सब यूज कर सकते हो. ठीक है. यू कैन ऑल्सो ऐड सम वेरिएबल कॉल्ड एज इमोजीज, कि हाँ मुझे इमोजीज ईमेल में इंक्लूड करने चाहिए या नहीं करने चाहिए, वो भी जेमिनाई को बता दो, तो वो आपको वो भी करके दे देगा. ईमेल में इमोजीज भी डाल के दे सकता है. ठीक है. तो अभी हमारे पास ये सब आ गया है. अभी हम क्या करेंगे, विल राइट अ प्रॉम्प्ट, राइट. विल राइट अ प्रॉम्प्ट saying, let's just write it in double quotes, write an email. I think we have an error here. Expected parameter. Okay. We can't write from, right? I forgot. I'm very sorry. From is a keyword in Python. From is a keyword in Python, so we cannot type up from. Instead, let's type up source or src, anything like this. Yeah. Let's type this. Write an email from. Now we need to include src here, right? So you can use n number of formatting options. I'll be using this formatting option where I keep empty braces, and later on I'll just type in these variables so that वो insert हो जाए. Another step what you can do is you can do it like this. ऐसे करके src लिख सकते हो, फिर आगे जाके वापस continue कर सकते हो. This will also work. I will be using this. Whoever wishes to follow me can do so. Write an email from src to this to. I'll just change this to destination as well. So for eliminating confusion, subject line is subject. Will place here. The email is regarding about. All right. This is all. After this, we'll call the format function. All right. Format function में अभी हम डालेंगे कि ये just a second. Yeah. फॉर्मेट फंक्शन में हम उस ऑर्डर में वेरिएबल्स को कॉल करेंगे जो ऑर्डर में हमने यहाँ डालना है. हमें यहाँ इसकी जगह हमें एसआरसी डालना है. विल टाइप एसआरसी. ये वाले ब्रैकेट्स की जगह हमें डालना है डेस्टिनेशन. विल टाइप डेस्टिनेशन. ये वाले ब्रैकेट की जगह हमें डालना है सब्जेक्ट. विल टाइप सब्जेक्ट. ये वाले ब्रैकेट की जगह हमें डालना है अबाउट. बिल्कुल अबाउट. करेक्ट. एंड if you're having a trouble viewing this second, yeah. The code should look like this by now. ठीक है. प्रॉम्प्ट में हमने ये प्रॉम्प्ट लिख दिया है. आगे के स्टेप्स तो आपको पता ही है. व्हाट वी डू इज रिस्पांस लेते हैं जेमिनी मॉडल से. मॉडल हैज बीन इनिशियलाइज्ड ऑलरेडी. मॉडल को सॉरी मॉडल को रिक्वेस्ट वेट अ सेकंड. मॉडल को जनरेट कंटेंट बुलाते हैं. हम सॉरी अबाउट जनरेट कंटेंट बुलाएंगे, प्रॉम्प्ट भेज देंगे, आंसर आ जाएगा रिस्पांस के अंदर. नाउ व्हाट वी डू इज गेट ईमेल क्या करेगा, रिस्पांस लेके रिटर्न कर देगा. रिटर्निंग इज बेसिकली लाइक वो आपको वैल्यू ला के दे देगा जहां भी उसको कॉल करो. तो हम करेंगे रिटर्न रिस्पॉन्स डॉट टेक्स्ट. ओके. नाउ if anybody has a doubt in this code until now, you can ask. I'll wait till 9:05 and उसके आगे will continue. Streamlit, Venkat, for now, we are not doing anything with it. We will build our project using Streamlit. We'll build a UI. Like you were saying, right? You wanted to have a PDF containing your response. We'll have a website do so. Be patient. We'll build a website using Streamlit. Yeah, sure. That is a good doubt. Good doubt, Atharva. Response.text. Okay, return response.text. What it does is, let's say I do print get email and I type in student principal. Oh, we're so sorry. We missed the word. We missed the tone. Right. Let's include that as well. We'll type we'll just type it like this. Keep the email in this tone, and we'll pass tone before about. Okay. What it will do is, अगर हमने सब let's say हमने बोला student principal, subject will be leave for 3 days. Tone should be formal. And lastly, about में लिखेंगे the email is regarding I cannot attend college for the next 3 days. That is all we're typing. Okay. This is what we typed. Now, Atharva, what you asked is what is this doing? ऐसे होगा कि हमने ये जो फंक्शन को बुलाया है, सॉरी डिफाइन किया है, ये फंक्शन को जब हम यहाँ कॉल करेंगे ना, तो क्या होगा, जो आंसर जेमिनाई से आएगा वो डायरेक्टली प्रिंट स्टेटमेंट के पास जाएगा और वो प्रिंट हो जाएगा. फिर लेट्स से आई रन दिस. ठीक है, मैंने ये रन कर दिया एंड द प्रॉम्प्ट गिवन इज write an email from student to principal. Subject line is leave for 3 days. Keep the email formal. The email is regarding I cannot attend college for the next 3 days. This is what we have sent Gemini. Let's see what response it gives us. या देखो पूरा ईमेल लिख के आ गया with subject line request for leave of absence from college for 3 days. Dear principal, I hope this email finds you well. This is a very elaborate email and you didn't even have to provide reasons. If you provide reasons, वो आपके reason को भी professionally elaborate करके लिख देगा. And ऐसे email लिखोगे तो जरूर छुट्टी तो approve हो ही जाएगी. Atharva, did you understand what response return statement does? And get your ninth line of code. Ninth line. Yeah. What it this prompt क्या कर रहे हैं हम prompt से yeah prompt से हम क्या कर रहे हैं basically prompt के अंदर अभी हमें ये सारे variables भी incorporate करने हैं ना. ये सारे variables जो है हमको user से मिलेंगे ना. हम थोड़ी सब कुछ देंगे. हम अगर prompt बना बनाया देंगे तो user क्या देगा ना. तो ये यूजर से हम ले रहे हैं सोर्स डेस्टिनेशन सब्जेक्ट टोन अबाउट एंड वी आर इनकॉर्पोरेटिंग इट इन दिस स्ट्रिंग. वी आर बिल्डिंग दिस प्रॉम्प्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल चलो आई विल आल्सो प्रिंट दिस प्रॉम्प्ट फॉर यू. आई विल नॉट डू दिस. चलो अभी के लिए हम इतना ही कर रहे हैं. जस्ट प्रिंटिंग. ठीक है. या तो अभी इसने देखो क्या किया. अभी गेट ईमेल ने तो कुछ रिटर्न नहीं किया इसलिए यहाँ नन आ गया. बट वी आर नॉट फोकसिंग ऑन दिस, वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन दिस प्रिंट प्रॉम्प्ट. हमने प्रॉम्प्ट के वेरिएबल के अंदर अपनी सारी वैल्यूज इनकॉर्पोरेट कर दी. ये जो कर्ली ब्रेस है ना, कर्ली ब्रेस के अंदर एसआरसी डाल दिया, ये कर्ली ब्रेस के अंदर डीएससी डाल दिया. अभी इसकी ऑर्डर कहाँ से आ रही है? ऑर्डर आ रही है ये वाले ब्रैकेट से एंड ये वाला ब्रैकेट हम पास कर रहे हैं फॉर्मेट फंक्शन को. So what format helps you do is format will replace these curly braces. Will replace these curly braces with the values you pass here. ठीक है. अभी देखो if you read this prompt, ये एक बार पढ़ लो. हमने यहाँ तो कर्ली ब्रेस डाले थे, बट यहाँ आया क्या है जो हमने पास किया, राइट? डिड यू गेट दिस और नो? ग्रेट आंसर। Hello Aditya, the code that you wrote right now. Did you write this code, Aditya? Can you confirm with me? Did you write this code for email generator? Yes, great. So if you run this code, you will see that you are getting an email written by Gemini, right? That is all we've done yet. We'll proceed with the UI part now. Yeah, Arnav, using ampersand there. Are you asking me whether we didn't why we didn't follow the C-based syntax, or are you referring to some other function in Python? Pointer, right? I understood. So basically, Arnav, Python allows you to do this. ठीक है? Python is allowing you to do this, तो आप ये कर सकते हो. Otherwise, there are multiple ways to use this is not the standard. Okay, ये standard नहीं है. Like I said earlier, आप कैसे भी आपका prompt बना सकते हो. The other way to directly make your prompt is I'll just do ऐसे कि write an email from, and I will put in या ऐसे plus करके src, तो वो strings को concatenate कर देगा. string concatenate हो जाएगी. ठीक है, सीधा वैल्यू आ जाएगा उसका, ऐसे भी आ जाएगा. So it doesn't matter how you're building your prompt. What matters is your prompt is being built properly. So don't go over the syntax, just look at the logic. Alright, I hope सबका email बन के मिल रहा है command prompt पे. So now that you saw how this works, how this get email function works, चलो अभी हम UI बनाते हैं. Streamlit से UI बनाना is really really simple. Really simple. सबसे पहले हम क्या करेंगे, अपना पेज सेटअप करेंगे. HTML पेज बनेगा, हम उसको सेटअप करते हैं. Set underscore page underscore config. st is your library, st is your streamlit library. ठीक है, which is up here. हमने उसको st नाम से alias दिया हुआ है, तो हम st यूज करके कर सकते हैं. सेट पेज कॉन्फ़िग क्या करेगा, वेबसाइट की बहुत सारी पार्ट्स होती है ना, वैसे पेज का टाइटल होता है ना, वेबसाइट में पेज का टाइटल होता है. अभी आपकी वेबसाइट का टाइटल, अभी यहाँ पे मीट का टाइटल क्या है, मीट और उसका कोड. तो वैसे व्हाट डू यू वांट योर वेबसाइट टू बी कॉल्ड? Basically I will just type in email generator, you can type in whatever you want. email generator दे दिया, अभी हम एक कॉमा दे देंगे. And the way I am typing is also not a standard to type. You can type however you want. एक ही लाइन में लिखना है, एक ही लाइन में लिख सकते हो. Alright. इसके बाद हम सेकंड पैरामीटर देंगे पेज आइकन का. पेज आइकन यहाँ देखो, मीट का कैसे टैब है, उनका आइकन बना हुआ है. अभी हम अलग से टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे आइकन बनाने का. What Streamlit allows you to do this is emojis डाल सकते हो. इमोजीज डालने के लिए डबल कोलन के बीच में इमोजी का नाम डाल दो. मैंने डाल दिया ईमेल. ठीक है, तो अभी क्या होगा, ईमेल वाला इमोजी लग जाएगा टाइटल बार में. इसके बाद लेआउट, वी पुट लेआउट so that your page can look neat and clean. There are two types of layouts. देखो वो खुद ही recommend कर रहा है, centered और white. I am using centered. Again, it's your choice. आप दोनों experiment कर सकते हो. Initial sidebar state. एक और prompt हम दे रहे हैं, एक और argument पास कर रहे हैं. Initial sidebar state what it does is कि ये देखो, ये मीट के अंदर ये चैट बॉक्स है ना, ये चैट बॉक्स, ये एक साइड बार है. तो वो हम क्या बोल रहे हैं, हाँ अभी व्हेन यू एंटर द मीट वी वांट टू सी द चैट बॉक्स इंस्टेंटली. कोई मैसेज भी नहीं होता जैसे ही मीट के अंदर आए हो, तो इट डजंट मेक सेंस. तो हम इनिशियल साइड बार स्टेट को रखेंगे कोलैप्स्ड, मतलब कि हमें साइड बार की जरूरत नहीं है, तो हम उसको बंद रखेंगे, हमें साइड बार नहीं चाहिए. नाउ ये करते ही आप लोगों का एक वेब पेज, एम्प्टी वेब पेज रेडी हो गया है. क्या हो गया, प्रिपेयर एम्प्टी वेब पेज. ठीक है, हमारा एम्प्टी वेब पेज प्रिपेयर हो गया। अभी हम क्या करेंगे, इस वेब पेज के ऊपर टाइटल्स डालेंगे ना, यूजर को पता भी तो चले हमने बनाया क्या है। तो हम टाइटल डालते हैं एस टी डॉट हेडर के यूज से। एस टी डॉट हेडर क्या करेगा, हेडिंग देगा। ठीक है, हेडिंग में हम डालेंगे राइट ईमेल्स लाइक अ प्रोफेशनल। ओके, we'll just type this simple heading and using st.write. I want you all to remember this function known as write. write से हम कुछ भी लिखा सकते हैं अपने वेब पेज के ऊपर। write से अभी हम यूजर को इंस्ट्रक्शन देंगे, बेसिक सा इंस्ट्रक्शन देते हैं यूजर को कि डिस्क्राइब द टाइप ऑफ email you want. Gemini will write it for you. Okay. Now I hope all of you have followed yet. अभी तक जितना भी हुआ वो फॉलो किया है। बिफोर मूविंग अहेड हम स्ट्रीमलेट ऐप को रन करके देखेंगे अगर स्ट्रीमलेट ऐप रन हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है। टू डू दैट वी कैनॉट यूज पाइथन ऐप डॉट पी वाई, या वी कैनॉट यूज दिस बिकॉज स्ट्रीमलेट जो है वो वेबसाइट है एंड पाइथन जो है वो आपका कमांड लाइन में रन होगा। कमांड लाइन में हम वेबसाइट तो चला नहीं सकते। तो व्हाट देयर विल बी जस्ट अ सिंपल चेंज इन दिस कोड। हम सब अपने कमांड प्रॉम्प्ट पे आएंगे और वी विल टाइप स्ट्रीमलेट run app.py or you can write whatever the name of the app you have given. हम मैंने app.py लिखा है तो I'll write that name. As soon as I hit enter, just look at what happens. It won't run inside your command, right? Automatically the project started running and it brought me to my opened browser. देखो वेब पेज बन गया। HTML में इतना करने के लिए हमको लिखना पड़ता था 7 लाइन ऑफ कोड। वो टाइटल लिखो, फिर हेड में डालो, फिर बॉडी के अंदर एक H1 टैग डालो, फिर एक P टैग डालो, उसमें हो जाते 7-8 लाइन। इसमें हमने एक बेसिकली हमने 3 ही लाइन लिखी है। ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाई वी आर प्रेफरिंग टू यूज स्ट्रीमलेट एंड इट इज इजीली कंपैटिबल विद पाइथन आल्सो। नाउ आई होप सबका आ गया। स्ट्रीमलेट रन करने के बाद सबको ब्राउजर में ये ओपन हो गया। जिसका ऑटोमेटिकली ओपन नहीं हुआ, पेस्ट दिस, कॉपी एंड पेस्ट दिस इनसाइड योर ब्राउजर, इट शुड वर्क। And if you're facing any errors running this code, type it in the chat box. We'll wait for 3 minutes till 9:18. Okay, I cannot. Email is not recognized. All right, Arnav, I hope you have also, you know, properly defined your function. Kindly send the last part of your code, and अगर फिर भी नहीं चल रहा है, तो look at this code again. I'll paste it in the chat box. Look at this again. Compare it with your code. Make sure it's the same. Streamlit is not recognized. Aditya, are you sure you recognized sorry, you ran Streamlit properly? Like install Streamlit properly, sorry, PIP install Streamlit like this. If not, do this again. If the problem still persists, try it like this. Py minus m pip install Streamlit. If this doesn't work either, then you may have a problem with the command prompt or Python. Try restarting your computer. Yeah, Arnav, not